Hey there, it's 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, or maybe a minute or two after 3 on a Tuesday. Screw this.
Yes, guy with a finger.
Yeah, you saw.
I haven't done it in a while.
He's a little Thank you so much for joining us for another riveting episode of Hotline and Breaking Online. You are watching this because you care about what's going on right now at the revolving door at the criminal courthouse. You violent offenders being released on multiple felony bonds only to allegedly commit more crimes. Who are you for?
So if you're not watching the Houston Astro game right now, yes, I am in this colorful outfit to wear today.
It's not right.
What? If the Astros were a World Series, let's wear this
Yes.
bright orange t-shirt.
I love it.
We're all wearing cream on that. So
Go Astros.
this segment is sponsored not only by the Astros.
And I'm sure that, as you pointed out, a lot of eyeballs are on the Astros right now. Totally understand that, totally get it. But remember, this is on the Box 26 YouTube, so you can watch it anytime. Joining us is Judicial.
I am Tanya McLaughlin.
Tell us about your background.
In the 267, I prosecutor, all the positions.
I've always thought that's really good when you have an attorney that you've seen both sides of the coin. You've got a prosecutor and a defense attorney. I mean, it's got to be an advantage.
It really is an advantage because each side has different procedures and different requirements that the other side doesn't always know about. And so for judges, I think it's nice for the judge to have that background. And then uniquely, something that really sets me apart as well in this court is my appellate background. So I am very aware of the procedure and what should and should not be happening in your court so that you can secure justice and
And that's one thing. As someone who's been working with victims, primarily homicide survivors, is I always tell families, you want the defendant to have the best possible defense because you do not want cases to be overturned for someone that's not defending a defendant the right way they should be, or a judge that's making what some might would say procedural or technical errors, because you do not want to go through this again.
All over again. And when you have to go over it again, you're not only dragging the victims and the families through it again, but you're dealing with locating witnesses again, old evidence. It makes it much harder the second time as well.
How did you pick the 262nd to run?
I chose the 262nd because I was in there when Judge Mike Anderson was the judge. And and it was a tough court. And when I was in there, I really learned how to be a trial attorney. And it isn't that I would do everything he does, but he gave me the greatest, compliment of my career. And I was a baby lawyer. And after 5 trials, he told me that jurors trusted me. And that was something he couldn't teach. And that's always stuck with me and means a lot to me. And so for me to see what the court has turned into, when we were in that court was known for going to trial, for moving, and now the court has the highest docket of all 23 felony district courts. It has the highest murder rate of people already on felony bonds than allegedly committing murder. And so for me, it's been very heartbreaking to see a court that I felt that I kind of grew up in and I've been a defense attorney in, take a complete turn.
That affects a lot of people when the docket is backed up, huh?
Absolutely, and that's what I've really been trying to get out in the public. I've been a defense attorney longer than I've been a prosecutor. And it is something that I have loved, and I am passionate, especially about my young clients. And so what a lot of people aren't understanding is this backlog, it affects victims and it affects defendants. And these multiple bonds, when you have a client that has a substance abuse issue or a mental health issue that needs a little bit of time in custody so that somebody can address those things, it's not happening. And on the flip side, my clients feel like they can't move on. They can't start new lives. They can't get a job, which then leads to other things. And so I don't see who is winning. I don't feel that anyone is winning.
I remember you pointed that out when we talked before, and I think that it really makes a lot of sense, because there are some defendants that if it's fueled by drugs or if that's the issue, being in jail is the best thing for them, because they're not using, they're not out tempted to commit crimes or use drugs. I mean, sometimes that can make a big difference.
Absolutely. And I think some of the things that I've really been working on and internalizing is, a judge has to know that there's defendants that are guilty and we're mad at them, and they have to be separated from the defendants that are guilty and we're afraid of them. And the ones we're mad at, a lot of times we're mad at them because they're on drugs and they're doing things they shouldn't, or they're not taking their medication. And it is okay to be mad at them, but at the same time, that is very different than the people that are not listening to what is required to be in the society. And so I think that it is affecting all of our clients, and mostly the only ones that are really benefiting are that top group that we are afraid of.
What are you hearing on the campaign trail when you go out, you talk to people, you handshake, you kiss babies and all that? What do you hear from people?
So it's been a little mixed. I think, I hear a lot of what I want to hear, which is people are fired up and they're ready for a change, and they understand that it's not, we need to have good judges and why we need to have all of the good judges. What makes me the most nervous is I am still talking to people that are telling me that they don't realize that there is any worse crime, that they feel like we're just in a big city. And to those people, it just breaks. It's heartbreaking to hear, because it makes me think, well, let me ask you a question. Is there anything in the last 4 years about your daily life that you do differently now? Do you go a different way to work? Do you get home before dark? Do I don't go to the gas station anymore alone. I have my purse stolen out of the car. So those are the things I'm trying to show them, but it's hard that people, I feel like a lot of, I feel like a lot of liberal candidates are deflecting and denying and just hiding from it.
Well, the numbers, again, and we deal over your crime, we look at the numbers.
Right.
The numbers, like I said, are startling to us, and you can't, say that we're doing this because we don't like X and that, and we're doing this. We're looking factually at the documentation, the data, the amount of offenders. So when people say, well, crime is down this year, I said, well, yeah, it's down a bit because it was at an all-time high last year.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to replicate.
When you start talking about just numbers, when you put it in numbers, and you've got people that, they're obviously they want to use it for their own political agenda to say, well, okay, murders are down 2%. Well, okay, maybe they are, but over a bad weekend, it's up again. I don't think people should get caught up in the numbers. Bottom line is there's more criminal activity going on in Harris County than in years past.
And we've had the highest homicide rate in 3 decades.
Right.
That's just reality. Those are the sad facts. One of the things that I look at when someone's out on bond, and Randy and I have talked this, and you coming from both sides of the system, you weren't meant to be on bond for years.
Right. It's not set up to go for 4, 5, 6, 7 years.
And so the state system, we're not set up like the federal system. We are not built to operate a cashless bond system. And so what happens is not only do we end up with these high dockets where we can't even keep up with everyone, but then on the flip side, you have my clients that are constantly checking in, they're constantly calling, they have ankle monitors on, and they're missing work. And they can't, they can't hold their job down because they're having to constantly go check in or something's not working. And so that has been, I think, just the biggest for me is for my own family, I feel that things aren't safe. And as a former prosecutor, I see the flaws. And then every day I was in the courthouse this morning with clients and I'm back in the office and then I'm hearing their frustration and I let them vent to me because they have to. And I'm like, you're right. You're absolutely right. Your case does need to end. I don't know what to tell you.
And I do the same thing with victims standing.
Yeah.
On the opposite side. What would you do to reduce the backlog? I mean, what can you do?
Oh, so I feel like that's the easiest question. So in this court particularly, and I think this can go across the others as well, is we have to go to trial. And that may mean not just trial on Monday, but trial Monday, and when you finish a small one, a trial on Wednesday. When I was a prosecutor in the 262nd, it was not unusual to get a verdict and pick another jury the next morning. That is what trial attorneys do. That's what baby prosecutors are there for, is to get the experience.
Right.
And so for me, it is getting in there and, you set 100 cases for trial on Monday, 20, 30 of those are going to plead.
Sure.
You've got to put people's feet to the fire.
Right, yeah.
Every day on bond for some offenders is a win.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking at life in prison or...
Exactly, yeah. You want to be on bond as long as you can. But it's nobody, when it comes to the criminal justice system, nobody's winning when you're in limbo.
Right.
The victim is not winning. The defendant is not winning. I mean, what defendant, well, like you pointed out, you have clients that they have to miss work because they got to go to court or they got to wear, I mean, who wants to wear an ankle monitor for 5 years? I mean, it's just.
And on the topic of ankle monitors, it is my pet peeve and it drives me crazy that we have all these PR-ons with ankle monitors. For one, ankle monitors are very expensive.
Yeah.
And the county, we are paying for that now. And an ankle monitor, if there's too many out there to be monitored, is not doing anything.
No, a pretrial services does, and I'm not saying anything bad about them. They don't have the manpower. They don't have the physical ability to monitor all the tens of thousands of people that are walking around that are out on bond.
I think there are places and cases for ankle monitors. I think that also goes with cases that a catch bond typically has also been posted. But I think what's happening right now doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't at all. How many times have we done stories where the person committed a crime, even a murder, they have an ankle monitor on, or they
just
ditched it?
did the big story last month with the deputy that was off duty, her son, from precinct 3. Both defendants were on ankle monitors.
Yeah.
Both of them were where they weren't supposed to be. But again, there's no alarms
No.
or bells that go off if you're out of the zone that you're on. No one's going to an alert any law enforcement that they shouldn't be here. And then another pet peeve of mine, I don't know if you're aware of this, particularly in the district attorney's office, you can't even get that information. You have to request it, right? They don't willingly share that.
Right.
And as their defense attorney, it is not simple to get either. So, no, you're absolutely right. I had a client, and I may have mentioned this last time, that I couldn't locate, and I was worried about him, and they wouldn't give me the location of his device. And so it is not readily accessible. And you mentioned Deputy Arson, and that has been on my heart for weeks now. And because I keep talking to people and I'm like, here is a young deputy picking up dinner and he was murdered allegedly by a person on a capital murder bond and a murder bond.
The murder bond was $35,000. I haven't seen $35,000 in over 10 years.
$3,500 is basically what you have to
The
call.
capital murder bond gets reduced by the actual judge, not a magistrate, not a visiting judge. Normally, what we've seen is the judge will increase after the magistrate sets the bond. This was entirely the reverse on a capital murder case. And so I was actually on the phone with the family yesterday, and I cannot tell you,
I cannot
you can't.
imagine. And you know, judges, they are supposed to, they are required by law to look at criminal history, look at home environment, stability, work, the safety of the public.
Yeah.
Penal code, first page, that's what we're here for. And so my concern is in my court and others that I don't know that is being considered anymore. I feel that.
I think that's how we got here.
Yeah.
I think that's how we got to where we are right now, because we've said many times over the years, well, especially with Anderson, was he letting people out on multiple bonds? No. I mean, it basically was, hey, yeah, you have the legal right, the constitutional right to get a bond. And yes, you get that. And because you get that, you need to do A, B, C, and D.
Absolutely.
And if you don't do that, then you face the possibility of going to jail. And anybody that picks up a new criminal charge, that's an automatic violation of bond. I don't care what your charge is, right? Everybody, that goes for everybody on bond.
Well, and what is interesting that is in the past, it was surprising if you had a client with 3 open cases. Like, that was a big deal.
That was, yes,
really matter.
yes.
And so now I'm finding that there's clients with anywhere from 5 all the way to 10 open cases. And then, they were released and released over and over until now the courts are getting angry and they're upset at them and they're so frustrated. But as their defense attorney, I'm like, but you
put them in that.
Yes.
I mean,
I've said that time and time again, and I've said this, ad nauseum. We did a story. I think you and I did a guy on 12 bonds for aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
And my initial response was, "Dude, you're not very good at it because you keep getting caught." Second, in order to rack up 12 charges, you got to be out here to do it.
Yes.
When do you finally say, you know what, this just isn't working?
Well, the thing that has puzzled me more than anything else through this whole 2 years of doing this, we're seeing these things. I mean, we're not part of the court. It's public documents. Anybody can look at it. And I'm thinking, I'm sitting here seeing that Joe Schmo here seems to go out and rob people the minute he gets out. Why doesn't the judge see that? Why can't the judge see that the public is not safe if I keep letting this guy out because he's going to go put a gun to somebody's head and rob them?
And you're not doing the clients any favors, which is what you were alluding to.
It's
Yes.
very, very frustrating. My clients are frustrated. I'm frustrated. Staff, I feel some days the courthouse is just going to spontaneously combust.
It's like Peter Finch in that where it's a madhouse.
Everyone is on edge and frustrated and angry, and I feel like we've been doing this great experiment, and maybe went from really far one direction all the way to the other direction, and we've got to get back to a place that makes sense.
I mean, the courthouse is not the place, in my opinion, to be an activist or decide, that's not.
It's not. We should, I don't know any of my friends running that enjoy it being a partisan process. We would rather it not be, but it is. And so we're stuck in it. But at the end of the day, we are there to follow the law. And we're not there to, really interpret it and read it. Where it's just get in there, follow the law. Some people's feelings are going to get hurt, but at the end of the day, it's about safety and
So what's it like running for office?
Oh my goodness.
Is it like you thought it would be, or no?
So is it 28 more days?
It's a lot of work, isn't it?
It is, and because especially a lot of my colleagues that I'm campaigning and we're running around, we're moms, we have full-time practices,
yeah.
We're campaigning, and this, we don't get paid, so we are doing this and for the right reasons. Like, I am doing this because my children cannot play in the front yard. I think that it is crazy that I feel that passionate that they cannot be in the front yard by themselves. And so those are the reasons we're doing it, but it is hard. I am somewhere every night this week, and
But you don't get a lot of sleep, do you?
No. That's what under eye concealer for.
Well, I hope that everyone, on November the 8th, when you vote, or if you vote before then, please go completely down the ballot. I don't think there's ever been a time in Harris County where it's been so important to look at judicial races. And when you look at judicial races, you need to really question yourself about the incumbents, because let's face it, it's the incumbents that we've been doing stories on. It's judges that were elected in 2018. They took office in 2019, and they're trying to win again. And they won because we were basically, during that election, you could go in and you could push R or you could push D. This is not a race that you should look at well, I'm a Republican, well, I'm a Democrat, well, I'm an independent. That's fine. Just look at the track record of the judges that are currently in office right now and consider the changes that people can make, like you, that want to go in there and they want to make a difference. The thing that is so impressive about you is that it's so clear that this is coming from your heart. I mean, it's like you want to see this change. You're down there every day watching this go on, and you're thinking, this has to stop.
And you've seen it from every facet, from being on one side of the bench to the other side of the table, this side of the table, this side of the table, so you bring an all-encompassing overview.
My biggest fear is that right now down there, we have over 50,000 cases. The court I'm running for has the highest docket. It's close to 3,000 cases. It's already barely manageable, if not unmanageable. If we have 4 more years of this and it continues and it doubles, there's simply not enough lawyers and courts.
You'll never dig out of the hole, right?
Never get back.
And again, I don't want to get into the whole misdemeanor bond reform situation, but there are people that say that what keeps that from not collapsing is all these cases that are just dismissed. Cases are dismissed like crazy, aren't they? We noticed this by looking at all these court records, and that the number of misdemeanor cases that are constantly being dismissed is crazy.
Well, I think especially in the felony courts, when you get these really, really high dockets, inevitably some cases end up dismissed because, again, you're going to lose witnesses. You're going to possibly have officers relocate and move. I mean, you can't maintain the cases.
And look how many defense attorneys are going to say, we're not, we're offered this,
Hang on.
They're saying 15, let's wait a few months, they might come back and say 10, or they might say 7.
Or the day of trial it may be dismissed, which is why you have to set trials and put people's feet to the fire. Some lawyers love being in trial. A lot of lawyers like to delay it. You have to make people come to the table and say, this is happening today, no matter what. So you either plea or get the jury in.
Judge Antu, when she came here, she basically, that's how she approaches it. It's like, hey, we're going to do this, and she's not going to take this, I want to wait another. She holds people's feet to the fire. It's like, we're going to get this done.
Right.
You get ready. Here's the date. We'll see you then.
Right.
Exactly.
Story.
Yeah, and that's how
It
you.
works.
Yeah. But if you do this well, if you want to put it off again, we'll put it. This putting it off and putting it off and putting it off has got to stop. It's just like we were talking about before with the settings, where we've seen instances where instead of forfeiting someone's bond, it's reset. It's reset repeatedly. And every time you reset a case, you're pushing everything back, right?
And when you have the multiple new cases, you may have a client with 1, 2, 3 cases, and you've been working on it for a year, and you're just about to resolve it one way or the other. And if they get another case, it starts back from the beginning. And when I say start back, I mean, you have to get all the evidence in. You have to get the reports, the videos, the witnesses. You've got to get an investigator. So then you do all of that again. And then if there's another case, you start, it is just, the multiple bonds situation does not work for reasons of it's not safe, it's not efficient, it doesn't help the defendants move on, it doesn't help the I cannot wrap my head around one positive for having 5, 6, 7 open cases.
The only positive is we get to do breaking bonds.
I got an ongoing series out of it, but that's not positive. Believe me, there's so many stories out there. I can always find stories, so,
One thing we do, again, for anyone who's running for the bench, we welcome everyone.
Everyone, please, yes.
And exactly like what you said. Public safety should be nonpartisan.
Yes.
It is what it is. Right now, I do agree with you said that it shouldn't be based on whatever party you belong to on the bench, but that we can't solve that now. That's for something down the road.
Judge Lauren Chambers Gray, who you're running against, if you're watching or you want to come on, you please do. You can sit here just like her and say whatever you want to. You can say bad things about me, and I'll join in. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to tune in tonight, Fox 26 News at 9 for a breaking bond segment. And I hate to say, here we go again, but it's one of these.
Do we have a baseball game on tonight? Is it going on?
No.
We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
By the way, top of the third, Mariners 4, Astros.
Come on, Stros. No, the news will be on at 9 o'clock, and tonight's breaking bond it's another one of those frustrating situations where you see someone that was out on bond, allegedly, it was committed a murder, and after he got charged with murder, was out on bond again. And you will hear from the victim's family, and you wouldn't want to be in their shoes.
No, right. I wish I could say it was an anomaly, but
It's not. It's not. Hey, thanks for caring. Vote on November the 8th, and watch the baseball game now. Bye.